the hawk-eyed Mercurian archers would frequently call out to the Arab invaders, "Where would you like me to put an arrow in you?" When one of the Muslim warriors
Alright, coming back.
The 12,000 strong
where he
Muslim
left
army
off
headed northwards in February 641.
Oh,
Marching along the Nile Delta's western fringe, immediately adjacent to a familiar desert climate, the Muslims overcame light Roman resistance at Tanut and Qawm Sharik before turning northwest away from the river. After subsequently capturing Saltaeus, Amr then won a bloody victory at Kion, just 12 miles away from Alexandria, and chased the defeated Roman forces to the city's eastern approach. The march to the sea had taken just 22 days. Alexandria had been built by Alexander the Great and his Ptolemaic successors on a relatively narrow strip of land, bounded to the north by the Mediterranean Sea and in the south by Lake Umayyad. Since the main transportation routes ended east of the city, the only truly vulnerable approach was the northeastern one.
wild to me how that name Alexandria is still to this very day, it's still there. Freaking hell, Alexander's legacy still lives on, man.
The Muslims made camp outside weapon range and then deployed for battle, slowly advancing towards the recently reinforced Alexandrian walls. Unfortunately for Amr, such a careless preliminary move allowed the expert Roman artillerists to disrupt and scatter his units with volley after volley of massive catapult stones.
Bro, I always forget, freaking hell, man. I always forget that they actually had artillery, just not in a way that I think
sent Amr and his warriors back to camp, dodging missiles all the way. Such attacks continued with intermissions, and in these intermissions, the Roman defenders would instead launch sorties out of the city and attack the Muslim army, aiming to throw it back and end the siege. Despite the ferocity and competence of the men carrying them out, these attempts failed consistently and ended up being pushed back into the city. At some point during the first months of indecisive action, the defenders sortied out against a section of the front manned by the Arabian Mahra tribe, and a fierce clash began. It seems to have concluded as an indecisive draw, but
how in the world do cavalry battles even work back then, bro? Like, how do you basically go and let you yeet someone? I don't want to say the actual word because you gotta keep this channel monetized. But how do you go and yeet someone off of freaking cavalry? I get with infantry. I already explained how that worked. That made sense, but I never understood how cavalry worked at all. Do they actually charge into each other, smash into each other? I don't think so. I don't really. No, there's no way.
Mahra lost a man whose head was subsequently cut off and taken away by the Romans, much to the Arabs' fury. The next morning, the same thing happened. A Roman officer, probably made confident by the previous day's action, launched an attack on the Mahra, but this time the outcome was very different. After being killed in the fighting, his head was taken by the Arab warriors and used as a bargaining chip to get their comrade's head back. After a brief
What in the world?
Negotiation, both sides made an exchange and buried their kinsman with honors. At the height of summer,
this is so what? This is okay.
After Amr initially constructed his his army tribal commander decided to shift it forwards for reasons which we are not aware of. However, as his forces were moving, the Roman defenders sensed an opportunity and mounted a daring cavalry attack, which nevertheless was easily repulsed. A reckless Muslim cavalry detachment set out in hot pursuit of the fleeing Romans, and actually got inside the city just before the defenders could close the gates behind them. Heavily outnumbered, they fought a fierce skirmish at the so-called Church of Gold, in which some of them were killed and the rest were pushed out of Alexandria. Heraclius, who maintained constant contact with Alexandria, was all too aware that the Muslims were gaining momentum. Worried that all of Egypt was about to be lost, he gathered a formidable army across what remained of the empire, together with equipment and supplies. Just before this giant emperor-led relief armada was about to set sail, Heraclius died in Constantinople at the age of 66.
No!
His eldest sons, Constantine the
Bruh, oh my gosh. No freaking way. No freaking way. No freaking way, bro. Of course. Is that really a coincidence? Is that really a coincidence, bro? No freaking way, bro. Is that really a coincidence? Do you think that's a coincidence? I don't think that's a coincidence. Definitely not a coincidence. Nah, bro. Definitely nah, bro. Nah, I don't care what anyone tells me. Definitely, I think God killed him. Oh, I'm not supposed to say that word. Nah, bro. I think God was like, oh yeah, nah. Can't let you get away with that.
III and Heraclius as joint heirs. This initiated a round of imperial politicking, which
I knew it. I knew this, bro.
Allowed the empire to react at the worst possible moment. As senior emperor, Constantine attempted to get a hold of the increasingly dire situation in Egypt. His untimely death only a short time later derailed those plans entirely.
Bro, this is no freaking way, bro. No freaking way. This is not, no, this is not a coincidence. This is not a coincidence. This is not a coincidence. Nah, bro. I'm telling you, bro. Bro, I said that Khalid was the main character. I mean, bro, the Arabs in general, the Muslims in general, because there are some Arabs that weren't Muslim. The Muslims in general, bro, like they got that plot armor, bro. They got that plot armor from God, bro. I'm telling you, bro.
If that wasn't bad enough, some Byzantine generals, including one Valentinus, took up arms in support of Constantine's son, Constans II, believing that Heraclius' mother, Martina, had poisoned Constantine. This dynastic struggle would not conclude until late 641, ensuring that no reinforcements would be sent to Alexandria.
Of course, yeah.
Let me show you how to block.
Politicking also infected the soldiers defending the Egyptian capital, causing infighting and massive morale loss. When the siege had dragged into its 6th month with no sign of ending, Amma received a letter from the Caliph chastising him for taking so long. So, after conferring with his generals, Amma selected the experienced Ubadah bin as-Samit to lead an assault. In late October 641, the entire Muslim army assembled for midday prayer and then deployed for battle. Then, led by Ubadah, Amma's forces finally captured Alexandria by storming a gate near the Church of Gold. Of Muslim achievements to this point, 20 years since Hijrah, the seizure of Alexandria ranked alongside events such as Yarmouk and al-Qadisiyyah in its importance. The Caliphate acquired an invaluable naval base, while diminishing Roman sea power, and conquered a land of immense riches and culture. Perhaps most importantly for the future, possession of Egypt allowed the Islamic armies to penetrate even further south and west into Africa.
Well.
Beauty and luxury of Alexandria ensnared the Arabs and their general in equal measure. But Amma could not make his headquarters there without the Caliph's permission. So he sent an emissary back to Medina asking Umar whether or not he could stay in the metropolis. Unfortunately for the conqueror of Egypt, one of the Rashidun ruler's many quirks was the absolute contempt and distrust in which he held large expanses of water, such as the Nile. The single occasion on which Umar allowed one of his commanders, a governor of Damascus known as Muawiyah, to embark on a naval operation, the entire force had been destroyed. So Umar refused Amma's request, explaining, "I do not wish the Muslims to take up their abode where water intervenes between them and me in winter or summer." Disappointed, Amma moved south and laid the foundations for his new city, the first capital of Islamic Egypt, Misr al-Fustat, the city of the tents.
Oh, what in the world?
That for short.
Wait, what in the world? I never heard of this one before. Whoa. I never heard of that.
Governor was occupied for the next few months attending to the administration of the Caliphate's newest territory. As 641 gave way to 642, Amr settled grievances among his warriors and the locals, revitalized previously abandoned pieces of infrastructure, including canals, and even dispatched food aid to famine-ridden Medina at Umar's request.
Wow.
To extinguish any remaining embers of resistance against Muslim rule, Amr sent out 3 columns to the areas around Damietta, Heliopolis, and Fayum, while a 4th ensured that the remainder of Lower Egypt was obedient. All of them had an easy time, accomplishing their task without bloodshed by mid-642. With Egypt firmly in his grip, the adventurous Amr ibn Alas turned his focus towards a Christianized Nubian kingdom called Mercuria to the south. Mercuria, ruled by a king called Kalidurit from his great citadel at Dongola, was a rising and expansionist power in sub-Saharan Africa. In fact, its monarch had only recently annexed a former regional rival, Nobatia. A literate society with a vibrant culture of their own, the Nubians were renowned as hardy, ferocious warriors.
Yeah, I've heard about Nubians. Yep. Yeah, Nubians, a lot of people really overlook how much history Nubians have. Nubians are quite old for civilization in general. Quite old, frankly speaking. Like, a lot of people need to put some more love to Nubians. That, like, Egypt, Ethiopia, and Nubia, that whole region, it's so old. Arguably, like, oldest region of civilization on the earth. So a lot of people really need to, but most people know about Egypt. Yeah, people would agree that a lot of people, I should say, not most, a lot of people agree that Egypt is the oldest, but there is still some evidence that it could be Ethiopia, around that region somewhere. I even heard that the Garden of Eden may have been in what's now Ethiopia. So,
in particular, their formidable reputation for horsemanship and archery was known around the Mediterranean world. At some point during the scorching African summer of 642, Amr sent his cousin Uqba bin Nafa and 20,000 horsemen into Nubia, where they quickly began suffering at the hands of the local inhabitants. Unable to resist the Muslims in a pitched battle, lethal but unarmored Mercurian archers, mounted and on foot, launched constant hit-and-run attacks which gradually sapped Uqba's strength before darting back unharmed into the wilderness.
Bro, that is horrible, man.
As the Islamic army pushed deeper into Nubia and encountered guerrilla-style attacks in increasing numbers and ferocity, the hawk-eyed Mercurian archers would frequently call out to the Arab invaders, "Where would you like me to put an arrow in you?" When one of the Muslim warriors
No! No! Not the trolling! Not the trolling! Oh my gosh, that's too funny. That's too funny. Oh, I love it. I love people still troll back then, bro. Oh, that's amazing, bro. That's so amazing.
Skeptically pointed at an area of their body. Our sources state that an arrow would indeed strike there, injuring or killing the man in question. When Uqba and his diminished forces finally neared the Mercurian capital,
I'm surprised he didn't die.
They found a smaller enemy army of around 10,000 waiting for them, forced into defending their central city by Uqba's movements. Eager to destroy the Nubians' fighting potential now that he had them all in one place, Amr's cousin began arraying his troops for battle. As the Muslim advance towards Kalidurit's line began, It was almost instantaneously hit by an utterly merciless barrage of Makurian arrows that struck the attacking army with pinpoint accuracy.
My gosh!
Uqba's assault was stalled in its tracks by the hail of missiles just as soon as it began, and his soldiers, 250 of whom had lost at least one eye in the battle,
He's on bread, man. Woo! Woo!
suffered terribly. Unable to close with the Nubian archers and swiftly losing men to grievous injury, Uqba withdrew his warriors from the field. Forever.
Nah, bro. They did not have that plot armor this time, bro. They did not have that plot armor.
Thereafter, Muslims would call the Nubians the Archers of the Eye because of their penchant for loosing arrows with deadly accuracy into the eyes of their enemies.
Bro! What in the... What? What? They were that good? Woof.
Willing to continue such a difficult campaign in a land which promised them little gain from plunder or future land.
Yeah, that's the thing. I was looking at this. I'm like, Nubia? Nubia is quite... There's nothing good from Nubia that I know of. I just... That's quite weird. No wonder why they didn't have plot armor. Even God was like, what the heck are you doing?
The Muslims continued retreating all the way back to Fustat. Although not exactly a decisive defeat, an army of the Caliphate had been defeated for one of the first times in history. After a month or two of recuperation, Amr
that's what I was thinking. I was like, holy crap, they actually got defeated.
Assembled his armies from their bivouacs and personally led them west into the desert during September of 642. After a month of hard marching, the Muslims eventually arrived at a still Roman city known as Barca, which, having no arrangements for defense, quickly surrendered. This was the first act of the decades-long Islamic conquest of a region which is now called the Maghreb. Amr had Uqba ride inland from the coast, where he successfully pacified the area of arid desert between Barca and Sawila without violence. The poor population quickly proved law-abiding and reliable in their payment of taxes, so Amr decreed that part of the revenues coming in from the entire Fezzan region would be spent to alleviate poverty there.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing. That's quite a wow. Yeah, at least these people were good. It's crazy, bro, how certain groups today who want to call themselves Islamic, I want to say groups, I mean, it starts with a T, but I don't want to say it because I don't want this video to get demonetized. Certain groups want to call themselves Muslims and followers of Islam, and they don't actually follow Islam. They go and break so much rules and laws that the Quran says. Now, I'm not expert on the Quran, but look at this, man. I mean, granted, the Quran probably doesn't say that. Probably doesn't say that, you know, you gotta alleviate poverty. Maybe it does. I don't know. But the point is, I mean, they're still doing good, even though they don't have to do good. But now today, we have so many groups who want to call themselves Islamic that goes and give a bad reputation to Islam and don't even follow Islam. Like, bruh.
Then in spring 643, the Muslim army advanced on and blockaded the Roman garrisoned city of Tripoli. Amr set up his camp on an elevated section of terrain east of the city and waited, realizing that such a coastal settlement could be navally resupplied for an extended period of time. Lacking siege weapons, he also lacked the ability to reduce fortifications. After 2 months of relative inactivity, 8 of Amr's warriors galloped off west of the city for a hunting trip. When these hunters began making their way back around noon, the sheer heat of the day led them to ride back along the coast. All of a sudden, they came upon Tripoli's western boundary, where the city wall met the sea, and discovered that the section was only thinly protected. In a display of bravery or foolishness, these 8 intrepid opportunists used Tripoli's vulnerable flank to infiltrate their way inside the city.
What in the world?
Before the defenders even realized what was happening, the Muslim group reached the city center and began slaying enemies. Such unexpected...
How many men are in the city?
Violence triggered a bout of extreme panic within the city, both among the civilians and Tripoli's defending forces. In fact, a large number of the armed soldiers within the city believed that a large enemy contingent had somehow gotten inside, and because of this, took refuge aboard a number of anchored ships in the harbor. Amr caught wind of the pandemonium taking place inside the city, and so quickly set about exploiting the weakness. Arraying his warriors with haste, the Arab commander ordered a full-scale assault to scale Tripoli's enfeebled walls. In yet another action of which we have left no detail, the Muslims managed to get inside and joined their 8-strong vanguard. Unwilling to fight any further, the Roman defenders took whatever they could carry and departed aboard their ships, leaving...
Holy crap, the Romans are... Wow, I'm mind blown by how kind of foolish the Romans are.
Tripoli to Amr's army. While most of the army stayed in the city for a while, the conqueror of Egypt sent a swift detachment of cavalry about 40 miles to the west, where the population of a town known as Sabratha were still carefree. They had heard rumors of fighting for neighboring cities, but it would be a while before the war reached them, if ever. The next morning, Sabratha's Roman guards opened the gates of their city, and its population began leading animals out to graze for the day. Unfortunately for them, it was at this moment that the Islamic cavalry unit struck completely by surprise, getting through the gates, killing the majority of the defending troops and sacking the town. With that done, they returned to Tripoli.
This doesn't even feel like a war, bro. This does not feel like a war. It's like the people are there, but it's like the warfare was so different back then that it just like I don't know how to explain it. I just do not know how to explain it. It just doesn't feel like a war. It just feels like whoever, like, is there even an official declaration of war? I don't even know if there's an official declaration of war. It's like whoever just goes and just has a bigger army to take a city and has the proper siege equipment to just go and take it. That's it. That's literally it. And it's like back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And the population is just docile. The population for the most part, because some populations, they do rebel, obviously. But the population is just like docile. I mean, don't get me wrong. Some cities do get slaughtered, and a lot of them actually. But still, it's like, oh yeah, we took the city. All right. The population is just like, oh wow, all right, I guess we're a part of this now. A part of this empire. Like, what in the world?
Succeeded, Amr longed for more and eagerly penned another letter to Caliph Umar containing both the good news of victory and a request to continue his conquest. This was rejected, as the Caliph was worried about overextending his forces.
Yeah, bro, look at that.
This time, there was no loophole or clever ploy that Amr could use to bypass Umar's decree and continue his relentless campaigning. Therefore, after allowing his army to recuperate in Tripoli for a time, Amr travelled back to Fustat and remained there, quietly administering his Egyptian domain and dealing with whispers of future rebellion. Although Umar had spared the rest of Byzantine Africa for the time being, that wouldn't last long. However, as the combat in North Africa was winding down, the situation on the Persian front was becoming heated again.
Alright, this is where I stop here. Someone said that the Persians are going to slowly start to cease to exist for a bit. So, if you made it all the way to the end of the video, man, go like and subscribe. If you got any suggestions for me, make sure that you comment it down below. If you want to join my channel membership, you could join it just to give me a bit of support. It's only 99 cents per month. If you join it and you have a bunch of reactions that you want me to do, I am more keen to do your reactions much more quicker, and I give you more priority. Or you could just send me a super thanks. But if you really want to save money, you could just join my channel membership for as little as 99 cents per month. And thank you for watching, and goodbye.